Hi, weirdos! You are listening to and hopefully watching Keep It Weird, the podcast for all things strange, unusual, forgotten, bizarre, mysterious, inhumane, otherworldly, and everything in between. Each week we sit down together from across the country and we talk about something weird.
Weird.
And this episode is, of course, no exception. Never is with us weirdo gals. We are covering one of our favorite topics, especially when it's terrifyingly legit or just downright fun, conspiracy theories. And, we'll probably question everything we've ever believed in, as per usual. We're also getting a tasty dose of reality at the corner of petty and dramatic as we do a deep dive into a reality TV show that was dark, Survivor-esque, but like Lord of the Flies at the same time, and probably shouldn't have been televised, but we'll get to that a little bit later with some reality TV corner. So let's go to the Scottish hillsides, the deeply hidden secrets, some mysteries, and other wild theories as we once again keep it super weird for y'all. My name is Lauren, and this is my beautiful, alien-loving conspiracy queen, Ashley.
I'm weirdos. That's the best description that I've ever heard.
That's her. That's she.
That's me.
It's we.
I like aliens. Speaking of reality TV, that's something I. Oh my god. You have a son.
Oh gosh, I do.
Speaking of reality TV, I just watched the latest episode. There is a true crime-esque, in the same vein of true crime documentary on HBO right now. It's called Hollywood Demons.
Okay. Sounds like something I'll love.
You're gonna fucking lose your mind over it. First episode, right? Episode 1 is about the dad from Seventh Heaven.
Oh, he's crazy.
He's a creep. He's a real
Such a creep.
And he's always been a creep, and he's still a creep.
And he's still a creep, but it was like people wanted to believe he was this pure guy.
Yeah,
like on
he's
TV.
everyone's dad. So that's episode 1. Episode 2. Ooh, episode 2. Oh, episode 2 is about like
who and why.
Episode 2 is about child stars and like the negative effects that the industry can have on child stars. And it shares a lot of stories that we haven't heard a lot. Like it's not the usual suspects.
It's not all the Nickelodeon and Disney kids who were like groomed by that awful one guy.
The guy that we worked with?
Yes.
Like on the regular, Dan? Yeah. Ugh, don't even.
Dan.
And then episode 3 is all about the Power Rangers, because apparently everyone who's ever been on Power Rangers has had a horrible life.
No, I didn't know about that.
And then tonight's episode, it's the Real Housewives franchise.
Oh my god, I can't wait to watch it.
So they cover a lot of the drama, the scandals, so obviously. Oh, there's so many demons. They cover a lot of the financial schemes and scandals that happen on that show, but they also cover like Taylor's ex-husband.
Okay, it's aired already?
Yeah.
I think I saw a TikTok clip of her because she was telling her story, and I was like, I mean, we all watched it unfold, and it was horrible, and everyone from the audience was like, this guy is a fucking awful lunatic who definitely abuses her behind closed doors. But of course, that's like, she was just doing what she had to do. But like her telling her story and how they would like come home from parties and he would just be like, who are you talking to?
Yeah.
Who are you talking to over there? And then like freak the fuck out. Anyway.
Yeah, he had like a recording equipment hidden around the house to record.
And he was like trying to watch her.
Yeah, pretty fucked up. So Hollywood Demons, check it out. I think it's up everyone's alley.
Right up our alley.
We don't cover a lot of true crime.
We don't do it as much anymore
on this show, but we're in the know, bitch. We're in the know about all of it. Trust.
Yes, we sure are.
I have a question for you before we get started, before we go into our segments. What are your thoughts? How do you feel? What are you ruminating on in regards to the Blue Origin all-female 11-minute space flight that just took place, featuring Katy Perry?
So, unfortunately, I think Katy Perry ruined it for me
That's what did it for you.
No, I mean many things. I like why, I don't know. Why was it needed?
It wasn't.
Should I care about this? But then on top of it, like Katy Perry, everything she's been doing lately has been missing the mark for me. And so this just was like the cherry on top of an already kind of problematic space flight.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like Katy Perry has been rubbing me the wrong way since like 2008.
See, it took me way longer to get there, so I'm proud of you for trusting your intuition. Yeah, this was it.
This is it.
Okay, tell me your thoughts on it.
Well, I think it's pretty tone deaf.
Sure is.
It's very dystopian to see millionaires and billionaires taking 11-minute space flights for funsies when there are people in their own country who are starving to death.
And that's what they're spending their money on.
I don't know. Maybe just not the time. I think they really, really, really wanted us to be excited about it.
I know, and that's what made it worse, though, was like the way they were promoting it. And it's like, we are on the verge of a recession, and like, I can't care right now. Everything is exploding around us. And I heard a radio DJ I was listening to on the way to work was like, it was only 11 minutes. Like, why did we do this? And I was like, I love hearing this live reaction right now because I'm like, why? It wasn't needed. Was silly.
It wasn't. I don't think they did anything special except add more greenhouse gases and chemicals into our atmosphere and spend money that could have gone to infrastructure or food or medical care. I don't know.
No, Ashley, we don't get that stuff.
If it were me that had that quote unquote opportunity to do this, I wouldn't have fucking told anybody about it.
No, I wouldn't have been promoting it the way they did. Instead of taking a selfie and being like, pussy power, or whatever.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Katy Perry was yeah, I would have kept it to myself, but I also would never do it because, like, of all the problematic reasons we just named, but also my fear of exploding in the sky.
Exploding in the sky? That's a big one for me.
Like, all the airplanes have been going down. The helicopter went down in the Hudson. Like, the space machine is for sure going down, too.
The space machine. A lot of people did, though, give Katy Perry shit for kissing the ground when she got off, but I'll make fun of her all day for paying probably close to $500,000, if not more, for this 11-minute experience.
I know.
But I won't make fun of her for kissing the ground, because I would fuck the ground if I made it back from that okay.
1000%. I almost kiss the ground when I get off airplanes already. So.
I would salt burn the ground.
You would salt burn the shit out of that ground.
I would make that ground my bitch. I'm not making fun of her for that because that seems very, very rational to me after coming back into Earth's atmosphere.
I'm with you. I'm totally with you. Woo! Yeah, not for me.
Anyhoozle, I just wanted to check in with you on that because we're both ladies. The future is female.
I know, but I think our girl power could have come out in a different way, but I appreciate you asking me.
I think we could have, like, done things to help people or change the world in some way. But
while we're in recap mode and girl power and us being powerful girls, did we go over from last episode like all the synchronicities that we like experienced after the fact? I mean, I say all, I think there were like 2 that we texted each other about.
No, we haven't. I mean, you know, we did kind of realize after we were done recording, I was like, well, how interesting was it that we both did stories about children who can't communicate with the people around them?
That's right. We had just gotten done saying how often we like choose similar themes and we didn't even notice that we were doing it in the moment. We were a synchronicity within a synchronicity. I thought that was cool.
There's a Russian doll of synchronicities. What was another? Was there another one?
No, probably not. I'm making it up. Oh, just, well, a listener wrote into us and they had a synchronicity like with our show and with us as they were listening to our show. They were writing into us. So I guess we had one with that listener, and I don't know that they wanted to be named. But anyway, everyone go listen to our last Synchronicities episode. It's really great.
It is really great. I really enjoyed that episode. And I made a promise this week, and I'm going to fucking keep it.
What?
I'm not talking about the D word.
Which one?
Dolphin.
I was like, demon, devil, dick.
Not talking about the D word, not this week.
No dolphin chat.
But I will be back, don't you worry, because of course I have another thing I want to talk about.
Of course, I never want you to stop talking about dolphins, but I mean, I respect you taking a break just for like a minute.
It's been like 5 episodes in a row. I don't know. We could talk about something else. And I'm gonna, because today I have...
You made one! You remember!
A conspiracy theory.
Oh, I think I crumbled mine.
Look at how good this is. This is a pretty good one. We hopped on... Oh,
Look what's happened to mine.
No.
It was buried under my tarot cards.
There's no way that's gonna block anything.
This is the derpy tinfoil lamp.
It looks like a tinfoil yarmulke.
It sure does. I love yours. It's great shape, great size.
The trick is 2 pieces.
For sure. That's what's so sad about this, because this is 2 pieces. But I've had it. I think this is like the first or second one I ever made.
Made is a stretch. What? I have some conspiracy theories today.
Yes.
I've got 2. 2 of them this week, unrelated. They both feature our favorite alphabet overlords, the CIA and the NSA. And I'm going to let you choose who goes first. The NSA or CIA?
Let's switch it up. Do the NSA first, and we'll end on a CIA note.
Okay. We don't give the NSA enough shit around here, so it's about time.
Let's give them some more.
We're going to take a closer look at a building. It's 33 Thomas Street, New York City, New York.
Okay.
And this building used to be known as the AT&T Long Lines Building, but today most people just call it by its street address, 33 Thomas Street. This building stands out a little bit. It's a 29-story skyscraper in New York City. It's 550 feet tall and completely devoid of windows. No windows, just a concrete slab.
In that entire building? No, thank you.
Not a window in sight. It was designed by an architect named John Carl Warnke and commissioned by AT&T in 1969. And it was completed in 1974 to hold their solid-state switching equipment that they required quite a bit of special specs around. Tight security and a whole lot of space. For the long line equipment that they had, they needed floors that had extremely high load capacities, so floors that could support heavy-ass shit, that also needed about 18-foot tall ceilings. And the reason, supposedly, that it has no windows is to keep all of the equipment inside cool. Because if there was full walls of windows, the solar heat would have produced interior temperatures too high to support all the electronics inside.
Okay.
That all checks out.
But yeah, it's like, all right, I can like be on board.
Well, then the architect was, when he was talking about building this building, he mentioned that the building was designed to protect the people and the equipment inside in the event of an atomic or nuclear attack.
Okay. Right.
For up to 2 weeks following some kind of atomic detonation, the equipment and as many as 1,500 staff members within would be safe from the fallout.
Wow.
Pretty chill.
Yeah. Chill and fine.
It also has its own water and gas system to ensure that it can continue functioning without outside resources.
Okay, so this is just a like full-on safe house for nuclear attack. All right.
Yeah, which is like a lot, but I guess we would want AT&T to be protected, keep functioning if we got hit with a nuclear weapon. So
right, that would keep things going for us to communicate.
Don't ask too many questions. But then in 2013, a man named Edward Snowden leaked highly classified information from the NSA that revealed global surveillance groups, including the surveillance on American citizens. And boy, was that a mess. That was a mess.
Such a disaster.
That boy just made a mess of things. We hope you're okay, Snowden, wherever you are, Russia,
Wherever
wherever.
you're hiding out. Yep.
In 2016, the news organization The Intercept released its findings after piecing together public records and accounts along with the documents leaked by Edward Snowden. And when they did that, they found that 33 Thomas Street is not just a place for AT&T's equipment. It is perhaps the most important NSA surveillance site on U.S. soil.
Oh my gosh. So they were really just protecting their sneak equipment.
Yes.
Spy gear.
Spy gear. Codename TITANPOINTE. TITANPOINTE. I have trouble pronouncing T's in the middle of words. I find that I truly give up on a word the longer it is. I'll start real crisp. And then somewhere along the way it's...
And then it just...
I'm too tired. So this motherfucker is an enormous, covert, monitoring hub used to tap phones and internet data, and they're doing it right in the middle of fucking Tribeca. Right there.
Heavily populated area.
Heavily populated area.
They're just hiding out plain sight.
Totally, which totally explains the lack of windows, the high security, and of course the fact that the building can survive a nuclear blast. Like that
It's all
checks
making
out.
sense.
Now it all starting to make sense.
It's all coming together.
Not only is it surveilling phone and internet lines, but the NSA documents also revealed that one of TITANPOINTE's functions is to conduct surveillance as part of a program called Skid Row, with an E at the end.
Okay.
Skid Row, which focuses on intercepting satellite communications. This also makes sense, seeing as on the top of the building, it's not a private building, it's in the middle of fucking New York, there are huge satellite discs on top, which again, AT&T building,
it's like, oh, that's still passable. Like, yeah, there should...
It's a really great cover.
It really is.
Federal Communications Commission's records confirm that 33 Thomas Street is the only location in New York City where AT&T has an FCC license for satellite Earth stations.
Okay. The
Intercept, as I said, released their findings in 2016, and what happened next will shock you. Nothing happened because it's the NSA and they could do whatever they want whenever they want.
They get away with everything.
Nothing happened.
Yeah. No one got in trouble. Absolutely nothing. So we find all of this out and it's just like, well.
Yeah. Anyways, that's what they do there. Upon reading this story, though, I found out that AT&T has had a long working relationship with the NSA, which is not surprising.
Yeah.
Even though it's pretty concerning, considering I have AT&T. What the fuck?
Actually, I do too.
We all do.
I was about to be like, Ashley, and I was company. Like, wait, me too. Everybody does.
I found another controversy. It's known simply as Room 641A. Room 641A is located in the SBC Communications Building at 611 Folsom Street in San Francisco. 3 floors of this building were owned by AT&T before SBC Global purchased AT&T. And on one of these floors was a room referred to by internal AT&T documents as the Study Group 3 Secure Room. That's all it was referred to as. And the existence of this room was revealed in a 2006, so long before Snowden and The Intercept released this.
Right.
2006, it was a class action lawsuit against AT&T by the Electronic Frontier Foundation that claimed AT&T was violating the law and the privacy of its customers by collaborating with the NSA in a massive illegal program to wiretap and data mine America's communications.
That sucks.
Yeah. Not great. The subject of the class action lawsuit was an AT&T technician whose name was Mark Klein, who reported that the room contained several racks of equipment, including a Narus STA6400, which is a device designed to intercept and analyze internet communications at very high speeds. Basically, a massive surveillance machine.
Yep. Just spying away.
So Klein testified that he was told similar black rooms like this are operated at other AT&T facilities all over the country.
So this is just going on everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Every major city, I'm sure. What happens next will shock you.
Nothing.
Not a thing. Nope. Case was dismissed in 2011 based on a retroactive grant of immunity by Congress for telecommunications companies that cooperated with the government.
Boo.
And the U.S. Supreme Court declined to even hear the case.
Great.
Very cool story. So as for 33 Thomas Street in New York City, New York, no one knows what the building is used for today, except, yes, we do. It's still the largest NSA surveillance property on U.S. soil that we know
It's
of.
still doing this?
Still doing the same thing. Why would they change? Why would they not do it?
I know. It's like, we already have this windowless building. We've got it all set up. Keep it going, Frank.
They're not done surveilling us. Why do you think I wear these hats? Huh?
Keep them out.
Why do you think I cover my camera? Huh? I know you're watching.
I know. I need to make a bigger tinfoil hat. Little Derp isn't going to keep anything away.
They may be able to hear my voice. They may be able to see my face. They can't hear these thoughts.
Can't get in there.
Not in here.
You stay out of my brain. Well, yeah, that's upsetting.
So that's what that building is. If you ever want to go see it, you can't get in. There's no like tours.
They won't let me in for the tour?
No.
Okay,
Even if it's a contractor there to like fix something, or a janitor that works in the building, you sign NDAs that will ruin your fucking life. So there's no getting in. There's a couple pictures online you can look up. I'll insert them, of people that were allowed to come in and take photographs of, a couple rooms, but not much.
But not anywhere near the whole thing. Well, shit.
Shit. Well, shit. What are you going to do?
Okay, well, I don't even want to hear about it after that, but tell me about the CIA, I guess.
The CIA.
The alphabet people.
There's a conspiracy theory, and I just love it. And that theory is that new Mountain Dew flavors are released in correspondence with massive catastrophic events.
What? How? How is this attached? And what's Baja Blast? Was there a blast in Baja, sir?
Let me tell you about it.
What's so funny is both Baja Blast and Code Red sound very much like catastrophic events. So I'm like, oh, I'm already on board.
I'm already convinced.
You don't have to say another word. All right.
Supposedly, Mountain Dew flavors, which are very fun, new flavors are supposedly released in correspondence with massive catastrophic events, either for marketing purposes, which is gross, but not evil.
Yeah, it's it's allowed.
It's allowed. It's gross, but it's allowed. Or in cooperation with the CIA to help cover up CIA involvements and code names.
Great.
Which is the more nefarious option?
I just want to do the do and enjoy my favorite sody. No, that's so annoying, but tell me more.
I will say I hadn't had a Mountain Dew in so many years because I can't drink full sugar sodas. It's too much. I can have like 2 sips of full sugar soda before I'm like, oh no, I can't do it.
Yeah.
But I can drink a diet soda like it's my fucking job. And I had a diet Mountain Dew 2 weeks ago. Girl.
So good. Every once in a while when I treat myself to some Taco Bell, I don't even get Baja Blast. That's just like one I knew existed and it popped into my brain. I actually always get the regular, not even diet Mountain Dew. And it is the same. I can't finish the whole thing. I never drink soda, so I don't know who I think I am trying to get a large Mountain Dew and kill my body. I take like 4 sips and I die. But those 4 sips are like the nectar of the gods. And paired with my nacho cheese chalupa. Anyway, dreams.
So here's the proof, according to internet conspiracy theorists everywhere. Specifically, the first person that I know of that brought this up was social media content creator Maverick Bailey, who's been on to them since the beginning. He is sure of it.
He knows.
Maverick states that, quote, it seems like every time they make a big push with a new flavor, it correlates with a certain event. But strangely, it often is announced right before something happens.
Oh. Not during, not after, before.
Yeah.
Shady.
For example, Mountain Dew Maui Blast dropped in 2023.
How'd I miss that one?
3 months before wildfires decimated Maui.
That was horrible.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
Maui
is
Blast.
evidence piece number 1. Mountain Dew's Star Spangled Splash. This one's kind of fucking weird. Mountain Dew's Star Spangled Splash was released only weeks before a cargo ship toppled the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore. Francis Scott Key, best known for writing
The Star Spangled
Banner.
Banner. That is very weird, actually.
That one's weird. Star Spangled Splash, as in like the sound that the
bridge would
the
make.
bridge made when it fell into the water. You mean?
Yeah, that one like almost creeps me out the most, and it's also like the dumbest name for a soda. So I'm like, it has to be because of the bridge. Okay, anyway.
Yeah. Mountain Dew Code Red was released only a few months before 9/11.
Whoa,
That's a big one.
that's huge.
And Mountain Dew Pitch Black was released initially, the first time in 2008, the year of a major financial crisis. And then it was re-released last year, directly before the July 2024 CrowdStrike incident that was the biggest IT blackout of our nation's history. It took several systems offline across the world, including airports, banks, hotels, hospitals, stock markets, broadcasting, financial institutions, gas stations, emergency services. This one, if anyone, since this was last year, you probably all remember it. It was where there was chaos for like one day, and then they were like, ooh, sorry, it's a program bug.
We'll be back up soon. Here you go. Yeah, 1000%.
And it's like, this was all of our financial institutions. This was all of our medical services. Like, how are we just going to be like, anyways, just kidding.
Just forget about it.
Just go into this folder, delete this file, and your computer's fine and all your information's safe. Bullshit. Now, here's the thing. It's more likely that Mountain Dew just comes out with wacky flavors all the time, and some
Sure.
of them just happen to line up with major world events. But when you take into account that Mountain Dew is owned by Pepsi, the conspiracy theory starts to grow some legs.
Huh.
So, do you know anything about the 1973 Chilean coup?
No.
Lord, I didn't either. Okay, so
Like, am I supposed to? Of course, did Joe know, and that's why he knew how to pronounce this guy's name?
I had to ask him about it.
Well,
Yes,
he
yes,
knows
yes.
everything
I had to
about
ask him
history.
about it. He had to explain a couple things to me because I was like, why? And he was like, just sit down.
Oh, we need to do another episode where he explains history to us, and we just ask the dumbest questions.
Listeners, if there's anything about history that you feel like you don't understand and you would like someone like Joe to take you through it, holla at your girl. Okay?
Holla at
I
your
will
girl.
get him to come on the show and give you some history. So, I don't know if you know this, but the United States kind of sucks a big butt when it comes to meddling in foreign politics.
Sure, I've heard. I've heard before.
We always fucking have. So in 1964, for example, Salvador Allende ran for president in Chile, and he was the leading contender. He was a self-proclaimed Marxist and a member of the Chilean Socialist Party, and the U.S. did not want him to win. So they spent a shit ton of money on anti-communist propaganda and in support for Allende's opponent. And it worked because Allende lost.
Of course. All right.
But he ran again in 1970 and once again had a ton of support. And Nixon considered him a huge threat to the United States interests. And they also, here's the thing, they claim that he was cozy with the Soviet Union. Evidence to back that up is sparse.
Okay.
Not going to get into that. But here we go again. The U.S. spends hundreds of thousands of dollars on propaganda aiming at preventing Allende from taking power, from becoming the president. It almost worked this time.
Ooh,
It almost worked.
he almost got away with it again.
But he won again. I mean, he won. Not again. He won for the first time. It was a really thin margin, though. So the United States felt like potentially they could
Still, like, get him out of there somehow.
still get him out of office somehow, still try and make it so that like the election wasn't proper. And Nixon told top US officials to do whatever they had to do to prevent him from getting sworn in and taking office.
Oh my gosh.
Even though the efforts failed and Allende was sworn in on November 3rd, 1970, the US still spent at least what we know of, at least $8 million on covert operations.
8? That's just too much money.
Money well spent. 8 million that did not go into our country went to another country, not to help them, but to ruin this election, ruin this man's campaign. They spent at least $8 million on covert operations over the next 3 years to try and destroy his government, essentially.
Wow.
They made it impossible for him to do anything. They spent at least 1.5 million they sent to Santiago's daily newspaper to actively oppose Allende in every issue. They gave money to the opposition, whoever was working against him in the country. They cut off international monetary aid and assistance to the country. They cut off exports credits from the United States. They set up blockades so food and basic necessities weren't delivered to people.
That's so evil.
It's pretty awful. It was chaos, too, and it was totally designed by the United States and the oppositional forces that they were funding. Then, on September 11th, 1973, literally some people call it the first 9/11, the military, the Chilean military, did launch a coup and bombed the presidential palace, which is essentially Chile's White House, I believe. And everything went to shit. Allende gave a final address and then allegedly killed himself. A state of siege was declared. Political parties were outlawed in the country.
Wow.
Universities were shut down, and they started arresting anyone and everyone who they felt had ties to the Communist or Socialist Party. Thousands of people were tortured and killed in detention centers across Chile. Final numbers, as far as we can tell, are about 3,000 were killed, but the number of disappearances are really high. So
yeah, I'm sure
we can assume this number is higher. And 28,000 Chilean people were arrested, imprisoned, and tortured.
Wow.
So if you're like, Ashley, what does Pepsi have to do with this?
I am waiting for the connection. I know it's
Ashley?
coming.
Well, according to former U.S. Ambassador to Chile, Edward Corey, the PepsiCo CEO at the time, Donald Kendall, initiated the CIA's involvement in 1970. He is the person
Oh my God.
who started all of this in Allende's second term. He personally made a couple calls to Richard Nixon, because Nixon was his company's former lawyer. Nixon used to be PepsiCo's lawyer before he was the president.
Who knew? Pepsi is so deeply involved in these government affairs. I just didn't.
He personally called Richard Nixon, telling him about the effects that an Allende presidency would have on U.S. markets, because American industries were threatened by the election of Allende, because part of his plan was to nationalize the industries that resided in Chile. That's when a government takes ownership and control of a previously privately owned company or industry, and that would include a major copper industry and a pretty large bottling operation for Pepsi.
So, helping his business.
And a lot of American corporations, not just Pepsi,
Well, yeah,
but Pepsi is the one that made the call.
But he was also, yes, looking out for himself.
Yeah. So after Kendall chatted with Nixon, it was arranged for the owner of PepsiCo's bottling operation in Chile to meet with the National Security Advisor, Henry Kissinger. Hours after this meeting is when Nixon called in his CIA chief, Richard Helms, and they proceeded with the ordering of the CIA to prevent Allende's inauguration. It was also PepsiCo that pushed the White House to impose embargoes on Chile's economy.
Okay, Pepsi, you shady little bitch.
Shady little bitch. To this day, we don't know exactly how much Pepsi or the CIA spent in total on this overthrowing of Chile's government to install a dictator.
Yeah. Yep.
But I imagine it was a pretty hefty amount. And it's very clear Pepsi had a relationship with the CIA in the 70s. But what I will say is the connection was likely Richard Nixon, and there's no evidence that the two corroborated on anything after that.
Right. But we also don't know for sure, and that's the theory.
Don't know for sure. Maybe the CIA and Pepsi are still working together. But I do think the Mountain Dew thing is just a silly Billy little fun
That's like,
thing.
I think I even said it in the intro. I was like, I love a fun
Love it.
conspiracy theory, and like at no point did I know how you were gonna connect Mountain Dew and the CIA in any way. And you did it.
And I did it. And I'll do it again.
It's a fun theory for sure.
But I don't put a single thing past our alphabet overlords at this point. So
I mean, I know. It's so like it's not even shocking anymore. I feel like I'm more just disappointed anytime you talk about the CIA. Just another like, all right, there it
Jeez,
is
all right.
again. Okay, well, life sucks a little bit more with this knowledge, but no, at least that one made us giggle a little.
Yeah, at least that one was fun. And only 28,000 people got hurt.
Oh, only. It's all right. I'm gonna, after we get off this call, look up when Baja Blast came out and what was going on
What happened?
in any place with the name Baja. Okay. Well, that was fascinating. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, tinfoil hat wearers out there.
Of course, anytime.
Well, hello.
Oh, hi there.
It's so nice to see you.
It's so beautiful to see you too.
I didn't know that you go here. I go here.
I love to do the deep breathing and meditating. Because weirdos, guess what? I am here with our resident medium, Amy Goldenberg, with our beautiful mindful segment of Mind, Body, Spirits. Amy, it is so nice to see you here.
Thank you.
What have you brought for us?
This time on Mind, Body, Spirits, we're going to be talking about insomnia,
Oof.
which is a kind of chronic condition that seems to affect many people in our world. There's a lot of different reasons for that. There's a lot of different kinds of insomnia. But I'm curious what your relationship is like with insomnia.
So it's not great, Amy. And I always feel like you come on this show and are attacking me with how well you know the world and my brain, because the last time you came on here, you talked about the connection between gut and mind, and I had just talked about it on the show, which was hilarious. But this week is no different, as I have struggled with this forever, but some weeks are better than others. But I am currently in an insomnia phase, I feel like I call it, where every night I fall asleep, but then I'm woken up at either 2 or sometimes 3:30. It's always within minutes of 2 or 3:30, and I cannot go back to sleep until the morning, and my alarm goes off at 6 to get up and get my son ready and go to school. So I am getting like 3 to 4 hours of sleep if I'm lucky, but usually it's like 1 or 2, and I can't pinpoint what it is that's waking me up, but it's like some kind of rush. So I don't know if you know anything about that, but that's
I definitely do. I used to struggle with insomnia when I was growing up, but that was because of my sensitivities. But what you're describing sounds like one of the things I want to talk about. But I'm going to talk about sleep a little bit first. Sleep is essential for physical, emotional, and cognitive health. One of my teachers said that you should replace time heals all wounds with sleep heals all wounds. Because sleep is really effective in healing trauma. Like It's a major factor in recovering from traumatic experiences, as well as being able to process normal mental and emotional stressors in your daily life. We'll start with the mind. The mind and how the mind is affected by insomnia. And there's some studies that say sleeping less than 6 hours has similar cognitive impact to a night of binge drinking.
Wow.
When you don't get a lot of sleep and you start to feel like tired and the symptoms of that, the less you get sleep, the more like you feel these symptoms, and you'll start even getting like a fevery type of feeling. And it's literally because your body starts dying pretty immediately when you don't get enough sleep.
Oh my God.
And there are, I'm sure you guys have probably talked about it at some point on this show of people dying from lack of
Oh,
sleep.
yeah, sleep deprivation. Yes, it's horrifying. And I think of that, which only makes my anxiety worse in the night.
Yeah, and like the psychosis that can come with it, So all of that stuff kind of does affect the mind, and I think herbs can be really, really helpful. Specifically, like if your body is so tense, your nervous system is so alive, and you're feeling really like mentally like you can't calm down. Some herbs that are commonly used are hops, which is like, if you like beer, if you like IPAs, then you know what hops are. But
Right.
hops are extremely sedative. They're in the same family as cannabis.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
And they're called a hypnotic in herbalism because they're so strong. And the next herb I want to talk about is a really common one known for helping with sleep, which is valerian root. Valerian, also bitter. Hops is extremely bitter. These are both things that I would say you want to take as a tincture, not as a tea.
Sure.
But valerian relaxes the skeletal muscle tension. It relaxes restlessness, irritability, and restless anxiety. It is also a hypnotic, but is a paradoxical stimulant, which means that like every few, like out of like, I don't know, 1 out of 4 or 5 people take valerian root and they feel like energized from it. And it's
Okay.
because they are really probably have a hot constitution, and it's a hot herb, so it'll make you get like too hot potentially. And then the last one I want to talk about is California poppy, which is in the same family as opium, but it is not an addictive thing. It's very mild. You can give it even to children, but it's a really amazing painkiller and antispasmodic and a sedative. And so those herbs together in like a sleep tincture would be like kick ass. You just fall asleep very quickly.
Beautiful, like out immediately, but you don't have to be on Ambien, which is going to make you wake up and drive your car
Right.
somewhere crazy. Yes.
Right. Or melatonin, which like similar to digestive enzymes, if you take too much melatonin, your body will stop producing its own melatonin.
Right.
So it's not good to become reliant on stuff like that. And it's not really good to become reliant on anything that helps you sleep,
Sure.
because there's usually a reason that we can't sleep. That's not something we need to like knock ourselves out about, but kind of
Right.
look into our lifestyle patterns. So what you were describing earlier, which I would say falls into the body category.
Body.
It sounds like a blood sugar spike or a cortisol spike.
Okay, that's what I've been wondering, because I mean, TikTok tells me this every day, but I'm trying not to believe TikTok is my doctor, but tell me more.
Yeah. Basically, like if you eat later at night, too close to bedtime, within 2 hours of wanting to go to sleep, you'll go to sleep and then you'll get a blood sugar spike that will wake you up.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I think it's more of this blood sugar roller coaster that people tend to go on.
Right.
So if you can eat like solid amounts of protein, like a couple times a day before, a few hours before you want to go to sleep, that will help your blood sugar to kind of just slowly come down rather than
in the way it should.
Slowly coming down, and then you're eating something and then it's like all of a sudden, while you're trying to sleep. Does any of that sound like resonant to your experience?
It does. I don't think I eat close to bedtime. That was the part where at first I was like, no, I don't do that. I always like give myself like 2 to 3 hours and like try not to eat, but I do not eat enough protein throughout the day, and I rarely eat breakfast, which I have always known as a problem. I have recognized it, like I solve it for small amounts of time, and then it dissolves again and it goes back to being an issue. So that is on me. I think I need to be consuming breakfast. I need to be staying on protein. And I have gotten better at putting the phone down before bed, but never perfect. That has always
Totally.
been an issue. So that's all speaking to me. That's good.
Nobody is perfect with this stuff. We live
Of
in a
course.
way too stressful of a societal
Whew.
collapse to be like,
I know.
just like, don't be on your phone at night. You know, it's like, everybody's trying really hard to keep it together, you know?
For sure. Sometimes I'm like, I want to watch a funny video before I go to bed so I can have joy in my heart. Like, I know.
Yeah, totally. You know, so none of this is meant to be like hard on ourselves.
No, of course, but it's good advice.
And we deserve to have solutions. We deserve to have solutions
Yeah.
we don't have to pay money for or take drugs about, you know?
1000%.
An easy way to add protein into your morning routine, if you're just like, I just can't figure it out and I'm just going to drink my coffee, is to add the Vital Proteins collagen powder, their unflavored collagen powder. It's completely unflavored, like literally, legitimately. I put it in my matcha latte every morning, and that gives me 18 grams of collagen protein. And then I put
Love.
another scoop in my morning like breakfast that's like kimchi and like brown rice and stuff. It's very like savory, and the matcha's really like sweetened, and it's just totally dissolves into
Very into that. That's what I need. I'm sure it's what a lot of our listeners need. So that is a good thing.
everybody needs more protein. Anywho, okay, so now we're moving on to spirits. So this was the source of my insomnia as a child, was being woken up in the middle of the night by random ass energy that I all of a sudden could feel like there's someone in my room. I could feel them. They're standing right next to me and they're staring at me, or they're touching me, or they are screaming my name in my face, or whatever. Like shit that was like not chill at all.
So, y'all, I don't know if you knew this. Amy is a medium and she has people who just scream at her sometimes. But that is awful. Oh
No,
my
as a
God.
child, it
I can't
was
imagine
really
that.
scary. It was
That's
very
terrifying.
traumatizing, honestly. Like, and that's something that,
I can't believe that.
I mean, it's a big source of trauma in my life, honestly, because nobody in my family is religious or believes in anything. Like, they're just like, no one's here, and I'm just like, okay, I'll just cry until I fall asleep.
Like there is. Yeah. It's like, but somebody was just talking to me.
And the fear that I felt was just, it was overwhelming fear for sure. But what I didn't have, because I didn't have, my family didn't have awareness around this, and I did have some teachers that I got that kind of told me that I needed to work on my boundaries, but I didn't really understand until I was older that I needed to put in place energetic boundaries, because there can be like any number of spirits or whatever coming through, like some dead freaking prairie people, or like somebody who just died from a drug overdose in downtown, or like just anybody can just, they don't know what their deal is, and they're wandering around to people like me trying to figure out what's going on. And
Yeah.
that's one way. Or it can even be your own ancestors, your own, whatever, bugging you, which like sometimes you'll feel these energies like there's a presence, and feel malicious and scary, or it'll feel like, oh, there's something here, and it doesn't feel quite as gnarly, but regardless, they're messing with your sleep, right? So what I did when I first like started learning more about how to control this kind of stuff is I put a grid under my bed of stones. So on the four corners of my bed, I have 4 pieces of black obsidian, and on the center, I have a piece of black tourmaline. And that helped me so fucking much when I very first started trying to create these boundaries. At this point, this used to be like a chronic every night problem for like my whole life. And then now I don't have it at all, like ever, because of the energetic boundaries that I hold, and I fill up my whole home with my energy.
I love that. That's so beautiful for you because, again, like I cannot imagine being woken up that much. And the fact that you were able to create this energetic field is incredible.
Yeah, and so sometimes that feels like it might not be quite enough. So I do have a prayer that I'll say out loud if I wake up in the middle of the night and I feel like a distinct energy around me, which is just simple. And it's,
Okay.
I call on my protectors, my well ancestors, and my guides to help secure the space within my body, around my home, around this land. May only well, healthy, healing energy be welcome in this space. And I'll
Wow.
just say that, like as many times as I can. If it feels like a really intense energy, I will say that, and then I'll call in certain imagery, like bear is an example of an energy that I like. Imagine the bear stalking around my room. And I wanted to
Mm.
share this because I didn't have any help when I was a kid or a teenager or mid early 20s person or whatever. So I have created all these different like helpful ways of dealing with this stuff. And specifically for like children, because when I used to work at the apothecary, I used to have this family come in that would talk about their kid having insomnia, and he would wake up and he would have nightmares and he wouldn't be able to sleep. And I was like, is it insomnia, or is he like sensing some energies around him that are scaring him and like making him run to your room every night? And so we kind of ended up talking so much that I gathered that he's quite sensitive. And so I was like, well, you tell him to pick a special protector animal that he loves, that, and when he feels scared in the night and if he feels this stuff happening around him, tell him to call his protector in and imagine that, creature coming in and helping him. So she came back and she said that he started doing it, and he imagined a gigantic bumblebee buzzing all around the room, which is such an energy clearing thing if you
Oh.
like think about it too. And she said that his night
Yes.
terrors, went away after that, and he was no
Wow.
longer waking up in the middle of the night and running to his parents' house. And it's also like, whether you believe in spirits or not, like he's being given autonomy and
Hmm.
self-assuredness by being able to say these are my boundaries and you don't get to cross them. And like that's a ritualized thing that's changing his neurological pathways in order to make him feel empowered, which is going to help him become a better adult and a better person in society for himself, so that he can feel self-assured and safe. If he's so sensitive, it's hard being sensitive. So it's good to have things like that where you're like, oh, i can I can do this myself. I don't need to outsource my protection you know
Yes. Oh, that's beautiful.
so I thought that might be interesting to you to
Yes.
know, because you have kids.
I do. And funny enough, again, you're always speaking to my soul. My son, he hasn't in a long time, so I think they may have passed, but he had night terrors. And they are normal to start around 4 or 5. And he got them like at 4 years old on the dot, but they've kind of petered out. And now they like maybe happen once every couple months, but they're like very short. And so that is so interesting. And I think a good thing to tell him, because sometimes he doesn't even wake up in full night terror mode, but wakes up crying. And when we go in to ask him what's wrong, he can't even tell us. It's like it's already ended, but he just knows he's scared. And he
Mm-hmm.
just kind of looks at us like, I think I had a bad dream. I just felt sad, but I'll go back to sleep. And then he just kind of rolls over, but you can tell he's anxious. So, like, I'll usually sit with him, or my husband will, and we just like rub his back till he actually falls back asleep. But you can see there's fear in his eyes, but he can't quite understand what's going on, which is how night terrors go. They kind of black out.
Yeah.
So that is so interesting, because it's like putting something in their brain. Like you were saying, where like even if he is in a dream state, kind of a blackout, he'll still have this information of his mind of like his protector. So I do love that. That was great advice. And we have so many parents who listen to the show who will love it too.
Like that would have helped me so much when I was growing up.
I bet.
I mean, it's teaching a child a tool that they could use in all different kinds of situations.
I mean, 100%. Feeling like you have a protector in other areas is so beautiful too.
Yeah.
I love the imagery of like a bear being a protector and tackling, but then also being like a fuzzy, soft, cozy place. That's so good.
Yeah. It's so cute. And I did want to say, in traditional Chinese medicine, which I learned a little bit about in herb school, but I didn't study that type of herbal medicine, there are particular organs associated with times that you wake up in the night. So you could potentially have congestion or inflammation in particular organs. I think 3 o'clock is usually liver congestion, but
liver.
2 o'clock could be something else. But you could always look that up and see, like, what's the traditional Chinese medicine, like, correlation with waking up at this time, and see if it tells you a particular organ, and then you can maybe, like, take some herbs to support that.
This is great.
Awesome. Well, I'm happy to be of service, and that's all I got for the mind, body, spirit.
That is all, my weirdos, for mind, body, spirits. Thank you to our resident, our house, beautiful, lovely fairy goddess, Amy Goldenberg. And we will see you next time for more mindfulness. Going back into our Om. Well, it is time to bring back one of my favorite segments that I can't believe we haven't done in a while. Not much this season anyway. It is Reality TV Corner.
Tom's house was broken into and you confronted the burglar and then had to go have eye surgery.
You know that it's our time. These are the weirdest days of our lives.
It's not about the pasta.
We've got more honey than any honeybee. Hive mind. Get crazy, get loud, get crazy, get loud. Cabs here! Let's find out what happens when people stop being polite and start getting real weird. It's Reality TV Corner.
Yeah. How dare you? How dare me? You came to me. And I apologize.
I'll meet you at the corner of petty and drama. Reality TV Corner.
Hive mind.
Reality TV Corner, baby.
Yay!
And we are the reality TV hoes. We are obsessed.
Yes.
And so it's a great topic to talk about.
Absolutely.
I can't believe that I hadn't heard of this show, and I will be sad if you know about it, or if you do, I hope it's only little. But have you heard of a reality show called Eden or Eden Paradise Lost?
No.
Right? And it was a show in the UK, but still, like, we get a lot of UK reality shows as well, so I'm just shocked it wasn't like popping up on Peacock or anything. But
how many seasons did it go?
Just one, and you'll see why. But then when I was Googling, it looked like Japan may have done like their own kind of spin-off, but theirs was different and more well done, because you'll hear why this show was a total fucking disaster. But there may have been other countries that gave it a shot in a more humane way. So Eden.
Oh, Lord.
Eden, and then Eden Paradise Lost, which is technically the same show, which makes it even more confusing. So just hear me out.
So that's not a sequel.
It's not a sequel. It was one season that they renamed halfway through. But like, I have to get into it for you to understand what's happening. Okay. So the concept of Eden was throwing a group of strangers into nature and forcing them to live together, just like you would on like Man vs. Wild, Naked and Afraid. Yeah. Like, it's something
Survivor
we love. Yeah, I mean, even Survivor, but this didn't have like a competitive nature to it, which I think like some of those other ones like Man vs. Wild, it's the same. It's more just watching how people react. Sometimes it's like we see shows where it's one person alone. I mean, again, like Naked and Afraid, or that show called Alone. Or sometimes it's like couples, you'll see little groups. But this was more of a community being thrown together out in nature in Scotland. So the producers were at Channel 4, which Channel 4 is just like this huge broadcast network in the UK. They put it on and they thought, like, this is going to be survival-esque without actually being Survivor. I think it's going to be great success. It's really going to show human nature, and we're just going to call it Eden, like the Garden of Eden, blah, blah, blah. But there was like no infrastructure at all, and these people were just kind of thrown out with like no plan, and it was just sort of like, see what you can do, which in a way is a kind of cool experiment.
That's interesting.
I think you should have some planning to it, and there was like clearly none. They were just like, here we go. And this took place. Another reason I was surprised I hadn't heard of it is because this was in 2016, and I was like, that's not
Oh my
I mean, I
God.
know at this point that's like 10 years ago, but it's not that long ago. I thought they were
No.
going to be like 2002 and I'd be like, I wasn't paying attention then.
We were creating this show in 2016.
I know. So I'm like, what? So the synopsis when it was put out was like, with nothing else, a group will be thrown out into the wild, taking only with them what they can carry, basics needed to kickstart their experience, and a couple tools of the trade. What they do and how they do it is up to them. We will follow the group's journey as they debate their own rules and laws, decide if they want to live together or separately, accept majority decisions, or do as each of them damn well pleases over a 12-month period. How will they work together to build their own?
A year?
A year, Ashley. Which that's the part that was so poorly planned and that no one was thinking of when throwing out there. But it was a full ass year. And then the little tagline was like, how will they work together, build shelter, grow food, and possibly raise their own
They won't.
livestock? Tune in. And the answer is they fucking won't.
They won't.
They
won't.
are not prepared. They were not given enough stuff. So this premiered in 2016. It would take place over a year. It was 23 people living together in the Scottish Highlands while trying to survive and build a community. And a very tiny production team would be in charge of filming the cast and observing the contestants and how they interact. But like they could not meddle. They could not step in at any time. And there was no winner, just seeing what they do. Just a group living in isolation with no knowledge of what's going on in the outside world. So this cast seemed like good enough, like during the interviews, and you know they had like a decent crew, and so it was sort of like, let's see what happens. So after the first 3 months of filming, they start to release episodes. They're not waiting until the end of a year. So production had started in March, and then they 3 months later started putting episodes out. And Liz Foley, one of the producers during promotion, was like, they're interesting people doing interesting things in extraordinary circumstances. Like, this is all just about the human story. And I think people are going to be like so obsessed with the characters.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I'm in. I want to watch this.
Yeah, and I want to see, if relationships
what
form.
a disaster this is going to be.
And I would want to see, like, is there going to be, like, romance and who's going to team up?
There's going to be fucking. I don't know if romance is involved, but there's going to be fornication.
Yeah, that's true. Animalistic things. But it airs, and again, this producer, like, the tagline's coming out. Everyone is like, we are about to just make the best show. But then it comes out and people are like, it's okay. Like,
oh, no.
Every review is just like, like it's not like mind blowing. I thought the experiment would look a little cooler. It feels like they kind of just sped through editing these episodes. I'm not getting a chance to know these people. People were not impressed with the cast. They actually disliked most of them, called it boring. Because the whole first month of them being there gets condensed into this first single episode, and it just like, it feels like we're not getting to know people. We're not seeing anything exciting.
Why would they do it like that?
Exactly. And it was just like, it wasn't pieced together well, and everyone found it so boring. So the reviews are just like, this isn't going to do it. The show is not working. The group is like starting to fall apart. But before we can even get to that drama, because I guess some people left like pretty early on and were like burnt out and just went home and were like, I can't do this. We didn't even get to that because producers were just like, let's pull it. Like, we're not into this. Like, if they're not going to enjoy the turmoil that like is already happening that we think is interesting, they're definitely not going to care about these other people. So we're just going to pull it. And like network execs were like, yeah, this just isn't going to work. So they pull it off the air, but they don't communicate that to the small team who's still in isolation. And at this point, I think they're down halfway through the year to like 15, and then by the end of the year, because they stayed the whole damn year, they were down to 10. Only 10 made it to the very end in isolation. Other people dropped off and went home, and they just stayed with this like small little camera crew because no one told them that it had been pulled. So,
oh my God.
I know. What was really like sucky about this, and the reason that like people were dropping off as often as they did, is like the men, no surprise, the male contestants just totally took over and were like, we're gonna take like all the important jobs and like we're the stronger sex, so like give everything to us. And so the women were just like chilling, which you know, you could be like, hey, great, I don't want to do any of the like heavy lifting or lugging, but they were like basically just cast it out. And it was like, I guess you can like wash some of our clothes and things down by the creek or, you know, whatever. But they were like not including them in anything, demeaning them. It was mostly women who were peeling off first because they were just like totally verbally and emotionally abused and told they were lesser than. And like they were doing a lot of the design of the living quarters, but then like the men would carry them out and be like, okay, well, we're going to live in the biggest, best ones and you have to live over here. And it was just like horrific. And some women after the fact said that there was also a lot of sexual inappropriate things going on, as could be predicted, not necessarily consensual in every way. But some of the women say it was perfectly fine. So it depends who you talk to, but you know.
Lauren, I need you to take a moment to observe. My jaw is in exactly the same place that it was. It is not on the floor. That's exactly what I would think would happen.
I mean, 1,000%.
Like, you're playing out exactly what I assume would happen in this situation. Yeah. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Of course. Of course. That is what's going to happen. But I still kind of want to watch some of it play out on TV. I know. So I'm sad that like it never really happened.
Fuck? You have the footage.
3 episodes got aired and then it was pulled and it was not on the air for a long time. People were like, they just kind of forgot about it, except for the people who were living through it.
Except for the people who were living there.
So the last like Twitter update, because you know, like Twitter tweets would be coming out promoting the show or saying like, tune in this week to do this. The last Twitter update came out in October of 2016, and then the show was disappearing after 4 episodes. Sorry, I said 3, it was 4. So then you're just like, okay, I guess Eden is just this failed project and we deserted these people, blah, blah, blah. But even though the show was taken off the air with little comment from Channel 4 at all, once the people came back and realized that they had been fucking off the air and nobody gave a shit anymore.
They weren't on TV this whole time.
On top of that, they're traumatized from their experience in general, of course, for being there for a year. They are changed people forevermore, these 10 folks coming back. But you have to remember that they also came back at the end of 2016. And there was a lot of shit going on in 2016, and they had been isolated from the entire world. So they were coming back like, you fucked us over and just deserted us in the middle of nowhere. And then also Brexit and Trump getting elected happened.
Also, where are we? What happened? What did you guys do?
What?
Were we the only thing holding society together?
Like, I didn't even think of like Brexit as well having happened. Like, it was like they elected fucking Trump. We thought that was a joke. And also Brexit happened. And on top of it, they were finding out that like everyone was pretty much split 50-50 on like all of these affairs. So at the same time, they're like, wait, enough of these people actually are insane?
They exist?
And we've been in the middle of the woods, like forming a new society, and like we almost died 20 times.
It's not going to surprise me when you tell me at the end of this story that they went back and just lived out there away from modern society. They were like, you know what, actually it was better there.
It was way better here. No further information was even revealed about these people and how they felt about anything until March 2017, like when these people finally started talking and saying like, hey, so this fucking sucks, and like we went through hell out there, and like all the people who left, like it's because of the mistreatment, and like basically everything that's happening out here weirdly kind of mirrors like what was going on in there. Like we were a very split group and like things went south really quickly, but they were talking to news sources about it and coming out. So then Channel 4 was like, oh shit, well, let's just say like, sorry, we took a little break, but now we're back and new episodes are going to air for Eden, Paradise Lost, where finally some of the footage was revealed.
Okay, good.
From the shitty times.
Good.
So they were just like, here we go. So they came back. This came out in August 2017, exploring what happened to the community, everything that went wrong throughout the journey. But for the very few still watching or caring, because even though some of the interviews were a little bit interesting. Everyone like had truly just been like, we haven't cared and we kind of forgot this ever existed. So like, I can't get
Oopsies.
excited. But there were a few still watching, and the reviews were the same, that it was
Aw.
rushed and surface level production. It was extremely disappointing. It was just like a repackaging of this show that was showing a failed community that was mostly the producer's fault, but they, because they made it so sloppy and kind of zoomed through everything, they totally make it look like it's the cast's fault. And it's just like, see all the mistakes they made? That's what'll happen. Like the cast, these people, it wasn't like anything we did wrong in our lack of communication and planning. Look at them, idiots. And that was how they packaged the show. And it was so sloppy, people saw right through it, but everybody got to see how much more they were focusing on the men and how like nobody cared about the females, like even in the production and what they edited. It was like, look at all these males who at least were trying. Like the girls sure didn't. And so it was easy to see that like that's what was happening there, and that the cameramen and like the few production crew were probably encouraging it a little bit. So they all suck too. But this all came out and no one really cared, which is why I guess that it's kind of gone under the radar.
Yeah, why no one's heard of it?
Nobody's even heard of it because no one was really caring or watching. But there are some interesting interviews that you can go out and see, especially between, there's a girl named Rachel, a girl named Jasmine, and a girl named Tara who have come forward and have some more interesting but very dark stories about things they went through. And Jasmine, she was a young blonde yoga teacher. She was romantically involved with another contestant, and she was actually given a phone by producers at one point to call her father to keep her from going home. She's the only person who experienced this favoritism, and it's because they wanted to watch the romance play out. So they bribed her with that. But she was like, this was happening all the time to the men. Like they were getting all kinds of little treats behind the scenes. And I was shockingly given my phone when I was emotional about calling my dad. So that was like a fun little nugget from her interview. There was a gardener named Rachel Butterworth, which I'm like, that can't be her name. Rachel Butterworth. What a cute name. And she's a gardener. She became completely despondent as the experiment was going on. She was distraught and kind of like, she was one of the ones who sort of had a nervous breakdown. I think a couple of them did, to no surprise. But
Probably.
She said one day she snapped because she was watching people spooning white sugar into their mouths due to starvation. And she said that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And she was like, I just had a complete breakdown. The Kamala's back.
The straw that broke the Kamala's back.
It's the new saying. She just couldn't take it. It was the sugar that did it. And she just like said she was having like an out of body experience, hallucinating, full breakdown. And she was like, I have to leave. I'm going to be trapped in Eden forever. Like the police are coming for me. She was truly losing it. And so finally they were like, we're gonna get you out of here.
We're gonna
she
take
was
you
allowed
home,
to go
honey.
home. She was also somebody who said in her interview that there was a contestant who slept near her that kept a hammer underneath his pillow for safety. So he was starting to have a little paranoia too. Not exactly sure why in his case, but oh yeah, and Tara said she was one of the people who was experiencing bullying, sexual harassment, and she was one of the very first to leave because she was like kind of targeted in the beginning and pushed off. So horrible treatment of women, lots of bullying. Channel 4 over sensationalized everything that happened, did not give an accurate depiction of it when it aired, did a horrible job of producing and putting it together. And for the sake of ratings, they tried to make it more dramatic, but it just was a total flop both times they released it, both Eden and Eden Paradise Lost. It was just a big old pile of poop.
Listen, you couldn't get me to go on Survivor. And that is a show that if you get on,
and at least you can win money.
You can win money. You also can you can have a career from being on Survivor. There are people,
totally, and a lot of people do.
Yeah, you can end up
on go on Traders after, which I'd want to do that.
You can end up on the Traders. You can end up on the Challenge. You can go to conventions. Like there's like a career to be had, even if you're only a contestant on, as long as you're likable or hated. Like you can make a career out of it.
Yeah.
But if you told me about this,
sometimes hated, your career's better.
And you were like, it's the first season. Like, we don't know how it's going to work out. In no way, shape, or form.
No.
In no way, shape, or form would I agree to do this.
I don't really know how they can even convince these people. Like, and the fact that some of the contestants were like kind of surprised at how bad it went. And yes, like it sounds like it got a little bit darker than maybe I would have even expected. I didn't think it'd be a pleasant experience, but
Right.
I feel like it got dark pretty fast. But I'm like, what were they bribing them with? They had to think there was more to it. I don't know if there was some kind of like financial promise at the end of this in a way that also they probably dropped the ball in some way with.
I'm sure they got paid in some form.
I hope, but I couldn't really find much on it, and everyone is like still traumatized from their
Right.
experience, so I'm like, I don't know. But yeah, there was one more little point I was going to make just about like how they found out what was going on in the world. I guess like right when they finished, they were taken to a castle in Scotland.
Was it the Traitor's Castle?
I know, that's what I was thinking. And they were shown a newsreel of the past year. Like that's how they were shown. It was just like in little snippets of like big news stories that they missed, which also I'm like, is that
the way to do it?
the right way? I mean, I guess, because I'm like, how else? Like, you don't just want to like give them a bunch of articles to read. It's better to see it. But anyway, so they're just watching a newsreel and like people were like sobbing, gasping in terror, like getting up and walking around, like screaming as they were like, this can't be real. Like, are you punking us? Is this like the final challenge of the show? And like, there was one mixed race contestant, it just goes by his last name, Hall, who was just like staring, crying, like head in his hands, because he was like, this is going to affect me so deeply, like in every sense of the word. Like my family is not going to be safe. I am going to be ostracized. Like this is so scary for me. This has been my biggest fear. I never thought it could happen. And like he had one of the most emotional reactions. And yeah, then another contestant, Moore, was quoted as saying, it is either you're in one camp or the other, it seems, when it comes to both Brexit and the Trump election. And that is exactly what happened to us. We were either in one camp or the other, totally split, us or them. And that's when things tribalize and it gets dark.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like the final quote of one of like the interviews. And I was like, man, what a great point to make and way to sum it all up.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens when struggle is introduced to a community, which we are clearly, anyone who's not in the upper class in this country is experiencing that right now. Middle class is getting lower and lower, and, you know, there's becoming so much more of a divide. Our lives are so much different and harder than the lives of you know, the people that were on the Blue Origin space flight. For example, just as one example.
That is a perfect comparison right there. Just throwing that out there.
Our lives are different.
No, it's so true.
And it's cyclical too.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about, for example, the healthcare system in this country. It's not as hard for people who aren't living paycheck to paycheck with the healthcare system in this country. And stress causes more health issues.
Yep.
So if you are struggling with money and you are under a larger amount of stress, you are having more health conditions, you are having to see the doctor more. We get trapped in these systems, and it's no wonder that we are now completely turning on each other.
Yep. Because we're getting to a point of desperation.
It's
because
desperate.
Of the stress and the sickness.
Because there is no hope for a future for any of us. Because there is no way to avoid these extra expenses. They are going to happen, and none of us have the ability to take care of those things when they happen.
I know, and people are just like avoiding any doctor, any medical service, because they're like, well, I don't have the money. I guess we'll just pray.
I guess I'll just deal with this gallbladder that's no longer working. I guess I'll just deal with not hearing out of my left ear. I guess I'll just deal with.
Oh my God.
And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, you have a really serious problem when you finally do go to the doctor. It's a fucking disaster.
Like, I wish you would have come in sooner. I know, and it's like you said, it's cyclical. Round and round it goes.
When the pressure is on, and when your situation is dire, you start finding people to point at and sort of blame for the problem.
You're the villain. we're going to be against each other. Totally. So it's like that happens when you're thrown into the wild in Scotland, and it happens here in America. I mean, it happens in every country. It happens all over the world. It is
Absolutely.
human nature to do so. And so I was like, what a great way to sum it up in that interview. And I was like, I guess if that is what was taken away from this whole experiment, like, hey, it was a dark conclusion. They were totally abandoned by production and scarred, but it's like, well, you showed exactly how humans are, and look what's happening all around you when you returned.
We really thought this was going to be successful, and it's like, not really the escapism we were looking for.
I know, that's not what I want out of my reality show.
I don't want reality in my reality. I need an elevated reality.
My gosh, also you reminded me with when you were talking about healthcare, have you watched the new season of Black Mirror?
I only watched the first episode, which I think is what you were referencing.
Yes. No spoilies if for anyone who hasn't watched it, but also watch. I thought the whole season was great. There was maybe one episode that I was like, oh, I was a little bored, but mostly I thought knocked it out of the park every single episode. But that first one, it's depressing as hell, but so good.
And too realistic.
And very realistic.
Way
has to
too
do with
realistic.
healthcare and money. Everything we just talked about is like exactly what this episode is about, but through like, of course, symbolism in the way Black Mirror does.
But not just healthcare and money. It's also just like, subscription services. Like I had a deal with Amazon when I started paying for Amazon Prime. We signed up, we shook hands, we had a contract, right?
That's gone. They're taking all my money.
We had a contract that I was going to get this streaming service with my Amazon Plus account ad-free. But eventually, Jeff Bezos doesn't have enough money. We gotta throw a little ad in there. Just one ad at the beginning.
Jeff Bezos is struggling, girl.
And now there's an ad at the beginning. There's an ad in the middle. And it's like, this was not the deal that we had, though. There
is a lot about subscription service and the ads. That part, like, almost made my blood boil more than the healthcare. Maybe I'm just too numb to the healthcare points about it. But I was like, oh my God, like, all my subscription services do this, because like Netflix, that I'm literally watching Black Mirror on, like the amount of times they have raised my price and for no goddamn reason.
Where does it end?
So yeah, I'm like, I feel like I'm not selling the episode well,
no,
because I'm
really
like, it's infuriating really and depressing, but it's so good, and the acting,
Chris O'Dowd,
so good,
incredible. I do have a funny story about it though. So Joe appreciates Black Mirror more than he enjoys watching Black Mirror, which I get. Fair. It's not like a feel-good show. There's very few episodes that end and you're like, I feel great about everything.
I'm happy.
Usually I'll watch the episodes, and if it's something that I think he'll enjoy, then I'll rewatch them with him. And I watched that episode, the first episode of this new season with Chris O'Dowd and Rashida Jones, and I knew that it was something that he would not enjoy watching. But I did think that he would be interested in the subject matter. So I kind of like told him the whole episode. And here's what happened. So I started by saying it stars Rashida Jones and Jason Segel. And I explained this whole story. And Joe's like misty-eyed. He's like, oh my God, that's beautiful. And I was like, I know. Oh, wait, it's not Jason Segel. It's Chris O'Dowd. And he goes, is it weird that I like it less?
It's not
I was
weird.
like, I did kind of ruin it by like setting it up wrong from the get-go. Like, that's on me.
Yeah, it like changes it. And he was imagining something so different.
He was imagining something that then I was like, oh, forget everything that you just imagined immediately because I told you the wrong actor.
It's this guy. It's this dude. And it's like,
I know, and literally after having like an emotional response and being like, that's so touching. And then I was like, oh, actually it was Chris O'Dowd. And he was like, I was like, really? It's still really beautiful. And he's like, I don't know, I like it less.
Yeah, you changed it. You totally changed it.
Okay, that's fair. Listen, what are you going to do? All right, that's all the time we have this week for Keep It Weird. Thank you so much for continuing to tune into our show. We love you. We love you like the NSA loves reading our emails. While I prep this wheel to let fate determine how we will end today's episode, please remember to follow us on social media at Keep It Weird Cast. Give us a review, preferably a good one, on whatever app you listen to our pod on. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Pretty much all of our episodes are videos now, and those videos usually have a ton of photos referencing what we're talking about, as well as bonus bits that you might not catch on to if you're just listening. And most importantly, if you are a fan of our show and you want us to keep coming back with more weird, donate to our Patreon at www.patreon.com/keepitweirdpodcast. You can get bonus episodes, literally doubling the amount of episodes that you get a month, plus discounts on merch, free tarot card readings, and the chance to sponsor and name a segment of our show. A lot of cool perks. I also think I just got a mailbag from Greg and Dana from the Haunted Objects podcast because I'm on their Patreon and it's so cute. I think we're going to do that this October. I think I've just made the executive decision. So
Into that.
a lot of cool stuff. Spooky season
really
is going to
fun.
be dope as usual. Join us. Okay, are you ready? How are we going to end the show?
What will it be?
What will it be? Inspiration. You know what? I am going to do inspiration because we always skip this one because we think it's so dumb, and it is.
It is dumb.
But so I don't have a quote, but I actually do have some like advice.
Oh.
Because this was advice that I actually gave Joe recently and it helped him a lot, and I'm going to share it with you. And it seems like a real like duh thing.
No, sometimes the most advice is the stuff I need to hear the most, and then be like,
Yes.
yeah, why aren't I doing this?
What we're going to do, us weirdos, what we're going to do is we are going to start to train our brains to have time off from the troubles of your life and the world. And what I mean by that is from like 7 p.m. until your alarm goes off in the morning. Unless there is something you can actively do about your problem, an active task you can perform to contribute, turn off the worry machine.
Love that.
Worrying is a thief of joy. It will kill every nice moment in your life. It does absolutely nothing for you. So from 7 to 9 p.m. or 7 to 11 p.m. or whenever your day is done, it's time that you stop worrying. Because here's the thing. People have brain aneurysms in their sleep.
Yep.
People die on the way to work the next day.
And what did the worrying get you?
So when your day is done and you've completed all your work for the day, and it's just time to either hang out by yourself, hang out with your family, wind down. Maybe you do have chores to do, but like you don't have to keep all of that stress and worry in here.
You should do your chores with like AirPods, listening to like a song that you love or a hilarious podcast.
A hilarious pod with some of your favorite people,
And-
like something like that.
And take the worry out.
And just put it down.
That is very good advice and something that I don't follow enough. See, I knew it would be that way. You say it's duh, but it's like I have to actively think about that because I am a worry wart.
It's something that you do have to actively think about. And I think that being mindful is a really great practice in this case where you find yourself worrying. Because a lot of times I'll be watching a show with Joe and not even realize that in my head I'm like, okay, you have to do this.
Yeah, I'm like making a list and I'm like tensing.
You have to do this. And it's like, hey, bitch.
Just watch the TV and be with your husband.
Do this tomorrow.
What can you do right now?
If tomorrow comes, you can do this tomorrow.
That's tomorrow Ashley's problem.
That's what I keep saying. That's tomorrow Ashley's problem.
I say that
and
a lot.
What I want you guys to say to yourself when something pops in your head that you
good.
know that you need to take care of. That's tomorrow Ashley's problem. And tomorrow Ashley, we don't know who that's going to be.
Yeah, some crazy bitch. Like,
Also, like, we don't even know if we like her. So, like, let her deal with it.
watching trash reality and taking a gummy to wind down at night, that is like the best way to clear my mind. But I have not been doing it a lot lately. I've been like a tense, worried little hoe. So I'm going to take your advice. I'm taking your advice. Like, as soon as we get off this call, chilling. Well, I have to say goodnight to my
Chill.
son, but then chilling.
Chillin'. Chill like a villain. Enjoy yourself. I hope you guys really take that to heart because I think
Yes, all weirdos should do it.
something we all need to do.
Good inspiration, Ashley. Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. We finally did an inspiration. It's not a pointless cheese slice on our cheese wheel. So, anyways, we love you guys. We'll see you soon.
Love you.
Keep
it
weird.